time to share your author story with us. Your book is called The Unexpected Entrepreneur. Tell us what it's about and who it's for.
So, it is the unexpected entrepreneur. Now that you're here, make a difference while making a living. And I wrote the book for specifically for female entrepreneurs, just to share my journey from going from corporate Canada for 30 years, going into becoming an entrepreneur, and just sharing with entrepreneurs how to stay productive, organize, manage your time, because our time is precious. We generally are everything to everyone. We have a lot on our plates. And so anytime that we can, save time, be more productive, efficient, set up our work practices to succeed, that is what I share in the book. And these skills come from my, hard earned experience. And yeah, that's why I wrote the book and who I wrote it for.
Nice. And your day-to-day life, what kind of work do you do? Tell us about your business.
Yeah, so I own a company called Organize My Space Calgary. I am a professional organizer as well as a productivity consultant. So, the home organizing side of my business helps people get organized at home. And then the productivity consulting and training side of my business, I help people get more organized at work. So,
Right. Love it. And so for those of you watching or listening to this who have a book on your heart, something that you really, really want to get out there into the world, messages, tips, tricks, systems, blueprints, whatever it is, and you want to put it out there into the world as a book, lean in, listen up. Noreen and I have some pretty juicy stuff to share with you today in this interview. And so Noreen is one of the contributors of my new book, which is called It's Time to Write Your Damn Book, Woman. I love saying that title because I kind of sound sassy when I say it. So that's the title of my new book, and Noreen graciously agreed to share a lot of her author story and her most like bestest tips for writing a book in my book. And so we're going to share some of those with you today. So yeah, if you have like a book on your heart, this is going to be an awesome opportunity for you to get some tips. What was the first step that you took, Noreen, to actually writing your book? Like, what did you do first? How did you get started?
Well, I think the biggest thing was the realization that I had a book inside of me. The realization that I have some mad skills when it comes to the subject that I wrote about, and that I would be doing the world a disservice if I didn't write my book. I never thought that before. I never realized that, I had a book in me. And so that was probably one of the biggest steps, is just deciding that, yes, I'm going to write a book. And then the next best step was definitely making sure I had the right people around me, like you, like the fem authors, getting a support system, so that I was held accountable. And then the actual tactics and the writing the book, figuring out what I was going to put in the chapters, what kind of resources and whatever, that all came. So, really, the biggest step was just recognizing my own value, the value of the knowledge that I had in my head, that if I didn't get it down on paper and share it with the world, that would be a massive loss.
Awesome. And so you kicked perfectionism and imposter syndrome out of your peripheral and said, "Beat it, guys. I'm doing this." And
Right.
you put the pedal down and you did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were
Yeah.
some of the biggest hurdles once you got into writing your book and you were working on it? What were some of the biggest hurdles you had to jump over to kind of stay the course?
Well, I think carving out the time. I mean, we're all busy, we all have lives, we all have families, kids at home, different things going on. And so carving out the time was really critical, making sure that, it was put in my calendar at certain times. And then even if it I didn't have it scheduled. If I felt the creative juices flowing, then I would, you know, I would put writing as a priority. And, the biggest resource that I have, that we all have to put behind our books and our book writing is our time. And so that just was massive. And I had to sacrifice some things over the course of writing my book. If, I had family come to town that I had to say, I'm sorry, I've planned sort of this book writing weekend away at my summer place. I can't see you. I had to miss out on some things, but it was well worth the commitment, to get my book written.
Yeah, I remember you in our Fem Authors group chat telling that story as it was happening, like, "Okay, so my family just pops into town, and they're used to me just being able to
Yep.
come and see them," and I had to say, "No, I am on a writing retreat this weekend at my trailer in Sundre, and I can't just drop everything that I have planned and see you guys, and I'm
Yeah.
really sorry, but I'm on a deadline, and have fun, and I'll see you next time," and I was like, "Wow, you did it, Noreen, that was
Yeah.
pretty amazing."
And actually, it was really interesting, Lindsay, because when I did that, I remember that weekend, I got so much writing done because I was really fired up. I thought, yes, I am committed to this. And so I didn't want to waste the time that I had set aside because I'd made such a sacrifice, to be there. And it just really put in perspective to me how important it was to write my book and to get my message out. So, yeah.
And when I was writing this book about how to write a book, one of the things that, and like you mentioned in your interview questions for the book, how to kind of map out the framework of your book. And one of the things I put into my framework for this book was writing your 5 reasons why you won't quit. Because I remember we did that kind of later on in the process, and you were like, "Oh my God, why didn't you have me do this sooner?" And I was like, good point. So I like put it in the beginning of the book
Yeah.
because I know for me too, I had to get really clear on what it would feel like to quit and how much I didn't want that,
Yeah.
and the people I would let down, and the things that wouldn't happen if I didn't write a book that I wanted to happen. So that was really helpful feedback from you in the Fem Authors program, and it was so interesting to see how you had this like majorly hot fire lit under your butt as soon as you wrote those reasons, and it was
Yeah.
so cool to see that. I'd never yeah, I hadn't realized that was gonna be such a huge thing, but it makes sense. So, yeah, and do you remember some of the things you wrote down on that list?
Yeah, like, I remember that I wrote down 5 reasons why I wanted to write the book, and then 5 reasons how the readers of my book, how their life would change.
Mhm.
And so there was some really personal things, and for me it was, having my family be proud of me and to create a legacy that, it's no small feat to have written a book and to have my husband and my children, really proud of me in that way. And so that was some very personal reasons. And then, the reasons why, how people would get impacted is I just am so passionate about changing people's lives, about the tools that I teach people. And so a book is just the perfect sort of entry level. It's like, here, let me give you a copy of my book. Let me help you in your business. Let me help you to succeed. And it was just such a powerful, compelling reason. It just anchored my whole process because it's not like saying, oh, I'm just going to, write a blog, and, writing a blog takes you maybe a day or two. This was like a 10, 11-month commitment. And when you're making a commitment like writing a book, you need a solid anchor.
Mhm.
And those 5 reasons for me personally, and those 5 reasons of how people's lives would be impacted, they were my anchor when I didn't feel like writing, when it got really tough, when imposter syndrome or perfectionism would rear its ugly head. So that was a really critical part in the journey for me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, I just had something I wanted to ask you and then I lost it. Okay, so you shared 5 really juicy tips for how to get your book across the finish line in my book, and, you've shared a couple kind of versions of those already. Is there anything else about kind of that secret must-do to get a book across the finish line that you can share with, our fempreneur listeners and watchers?
Yeah, I think, for me, for whatever reason, and I don't know if this is true for all authors, but for me, I was really stuck at the beginning on, oh, I need a title. What's the title? What's the title going to be? And I realized as I was writing that, the title would just come and that I didn't have to be so worried about what I was going to call it or what it was going to look like. It's like just focus on the why and the how comes. Focus on the why. Why am I writing this? And just do the writing, and all of those details come together,
Right.
and just don't worry about it. It happens, and it can happen at the end.
Awesome. I just put a little comment in the chat there. I wanted to see what happens because I haven't tried that
Okay.
before on this platform. And yeah, and interestingly enough, like the night that you committed to this and publicly announced you're writing a book was I had hopped on Instagram Live because I wanted to start another fem authors group, and gathered together a small group of women that wanted to write books. And it was you and Felicia that actually both committed to that process and stuck it through to the end,
Yeah.
and you two supported each other and became great friends. And it was just such a neat experience to be part of for me. But I also just kind of wanted to put that out to people today and say, hey, if you were going to write a book, who would it be for and how would it help them?
Yeah.
Because like you said, you've got to really picture your reader after they've closed your book and they've finished your book. What is different in their life now? What
Yeah.
mindsets have they shifted because your book helped them do that? What habits are they actually able to break now because they have the steps to break those habits and
Mm.
replace them with new ones, and getting really clear on how you want to impact these people's lives to your book. And I know for me, whenever I get stuck with writing and I'm not feeling creative, if I think about the person and the way that book is going to help them, it gets me writing again.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same for you, but that helps me for sure.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely, absolutely, it was, and that accountability piece. I mean, having like, I wish I had access to your book at the time we were doing it too. Like,
I
so
didn't have all those tips and tricks at that
I
time.
know, I know. Like that would have been amazing, and I felt like at the beginning we were doing it together, and I was grateful for your past experience of writing and publishing books and working with Felicia, and her and I going through that creative process together. But to actually have like a step by step how to write your damn book woman, wook woman.
What
That's what I
woman?
was gonna say. But how to write your damn book.
Yeah.
Uh, that would have made me feel just so much calmer, so much better that I actually had a system, some step by step with some deviations along the way. I'm sure every person, every author is slightly different, but to actually have a blueprint,
Yeah.
that would have been massive.
Yes, well, I couldn't have written the blueprint without you and Felicia and Carrie and Tiana. The 4 of you have not only contributed to this book by putting your words in it, but you guys also contributed to the shaping of the book in my mind before I even started writing it. You guys pointed out things that were missing from my process. You guys made my process better. You added, like, your own feedback that just blew my mind and helped me realize how I could be a better author coach. So thank you so much for being with me through the whole beginning to end of this, bringing this book to life.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
really appreciate you, and the fact that you were able to bring a book to life even in my clunkier stages of helping women write books. And this time I'm doing things a little differently. So at the book launch party, I will not be giving copies of the book to everyone. I am going to be dropping the price down by 60% to only $9.98. And I'm going to be encouraging everyone to buy the book so that I can get those verified reviews on Amazon, which I haven't really cared about in the past because I'm more a big fan of like oh, you got to have a book as the ultimate business card. And yeah,
Yeah.
it sets you apart and blah, blah, blah. But I'm so fired up about this book and I want to help it get out there to women who should be writing books and feel like they don't know how to start. So I want to do everything I can to make sure this book gets out there just as a standalone tool, not as a business
Yeah.
card for me as an entrepreneur, but I want it to get into more hands. So I'm doing things a little differently with the launch of this book. So we'll see how it goes.
I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful way to move forward with it, and I think you're going to have a great event. I unfortunately can't be there. It's my birthday that day, November 2nd, so I'm going to be with my family, or I would be there absolutely. I'm brokenhearted. I'm going to miss it, but I know it's going to be an incredible event. You always put on great events, and just the community that you have around you to celebrate this next milestone, this next sort of birthing of this baby, this next book baby. You're
Yeah.
officially addicted, by the way. Can't wait to see what you create next, Lindsay. uh,
Yes, well, and same to you, because I know you will, probably have another book or 2 on your heart that will come to life someday because it's like we said, it's like a tattoo. You can't have just
no.
one. I have 0 tattoos, but many books.
Yeah, I got one tattoo like last year, and now I have many. So
Yeah, you do. You have, like, become very tattooed, and it's all very,
I
very
know, I
gorgeous, so
love it.
you're
Love
braver than
it.
me.
Yeah, so
Awesome. Well, we would like to just wish you a happy birthday now, because again, on November 2nd, we won't be celebrating your birthday with you, but I will be shouting you out at my party. I'm gonna get a video with everyone behind me and like say, "Happy birthday, Noreen!" And we'll tag you in that on the socials. But thank you again for hopping on and sharing so much value in such a short amount of time today. It's Friday. I want you to get back to your Friday. And yeah, thank you for contributing to the book. Thank you for being one of the people that inspired me to write this book. And I'm excited to hang out with you in Mexico at the Fempreneurs
yes,
Retreat in
me
January.
too.
For those listening or watching, if you're curious about that, go to yycfempreneurs.com. And Noreen can be found at organizemyspacecalgary.com. She's on Instagram. She's on all the socials. She puts out great content. Do you want to tell us about anything like time sensitive or anything people can get from your website or anything like that right now?
Yeah, I mean, if people are looking for great resources, I have a great do-it-yourself page where I have lots of different resources that people can grab. I love sharing what I know and helping people just improve their lives through organizations. So yeah, just go to my website, check it out, and you'll see if there's anything there that you need.
Perfect. All right. Organizemyspacecalgary.com. Thanks, Noreen, so much. And everyone, have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.
Thanks. Bye.